Hi friends, good morning. Welcome to Shankaran IA Study Circle. This is Dr. Harinath Reddy, Director of the Institute. Today in this particular video, we will try to discuss about joint sitting of the Parliament. Joint sitting of the Parliament. Joint sitting of the Parliament. It is under Article 108. Under Article 108, there is provision for joint sitting. So, with respect to an ordinary bill, if there is a disagreement between Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, Article 108 of the Indian Constitution provides for joint sitting. Here the students must remember, there is no provision for joint sitting with respect to a money bill. In case if there is a disagreement between Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha with respect to a money bill, there is no provision for joint sitting, because Lok Sabha has got greater powers with respect to a money bill. Then even with respect to a constitutional amendment bill, so money bill under Article 110, money bill is dealt by Article 110. Similarly, under Article 368, a constitutional amendment bill under Article 368, even a constitutional amendment bill under Article 368 cannot be passed through joint sitting. So, with respect to a constitutional amendment bill under Article 368, if there is a disagreement between Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, no joint sitting can be held. So, make this very clear. With respect to a money bill, with respect to a constitutional amendment bill, there is no provision for joint sitting. So, generally, the provision of joint sitting, it applies with respect to an ordinary bill. So, what do you mean by disagreement between Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha? So, there are three ways of explaining this disagreement. The first one, if an ordinary bill is passed by one house and rejected by the other house, then it amounts to disagreement between Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Or the other way around, if there are disagreements with respect to the amendments to be made, again there is a deadlock. So, if the two houses are not agreeing with respect to the changes which are to be made in the bill, then again that results in deadlock. And the third category is, assume that an ordinary bill is passed by one house and the second house has kept it pending for more than 6 months. In all these three cases, it amounts to deadlock. So, there can be a joint sitting between Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha with respect to an ordinary bill in the following three circumstances. What is the first circumstance? An ordinary bill is passed by one house and rejected by the other house. And the second possibility, there were disagreements between Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha with respect to the amendments which are necessary in the bill. The third possibility, an ordinary bill is passed by one house and the other house has kept it pending for more than 6 months. In all these three cases, there is a provision for joint sitting. And then, what is the quorum of joint sitting? It is 1/10. So, you know what is quorum? Quorum, it refers to the minimum strength necessary for conducting the business of the house. So, in a joint sitting, unless there is presence of at least 1/10 of the total strength of Parliament, then there is no possibility of conducting joint sitting. So, for the joint sitting to be held, the quorum is 1/10 of the strength of the Parliament. So, 1/10 of the total membership of the Parliament must be present to take a decision with respect to an ordinary bill in joint sitting. And remember, in the joint sitting, as Lok Sabha has got a numerical majority, because the strength of Lok Sabha is 543 and the strength of Rajya Sabha is 245. So, numerically Lok Sabha has got greater strength. So, that is why usually in a joint sitting, Lok Sabha will have a greater advantage. So, in a joint sitting, Lok Sabha will have a greater advantage. Then the next question is, If the Lok Sabha is dissolved before the joint sitting can be held, what will happen to the joint sitting? So here there are two situations. If President summons for joint sitting before the Lok Sabha is dissolved, if the President expresses his intention to summon the joint sitting, he can do it by two ways. He can communicate the message to the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha that he is going to arrange for joint sitting, or when the parliament is not in session, he can issue a public notification. So when the President has confirmed that he had the intention of convening a joint session, and if the Lok Sabha dissolves subsequently, then there is no impact of dissolution of Lok Sabha. Joint sitting will be held. But if Lok Sabha is dissolved first and then subsequently the President makes his intention of conducting a joint sitting, then in the second case, joint sitting is not possible. I am repeating, I am clarifying. The President has made his intention to conduct a joint sitting through a public notification or through a message communicated to the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Subsequent to this, there was a dissolution of Lok Sabha. So even then the joint sitting can be held. In case there is dissolution of Lok Sabha, subsequently President has made his intention to conduct a joint sitting either through public notification or through a message sent to the Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. In the second case, there can be no provision for joint sitting. So that's one important dimension of joint sitting. Then in addition to this, who can preside over the joint sitting of the parliament? Who can preside over the joint sitting of the parliament? So it is the speaker who can preside. It is the speaker who can preside over the joint sitting of the parliament. In case if the speaker is not available, deputy speaker can preside. Deputy speaker of Lok Sabha can preside over the joint sitting. Deputy speaker of the Lok Sabha can preside over the joint sitting. So even if the deputy speaker is also not available along with the speaker, then deputy chairman can preside over the joint sitting of the parliament. Here you should remember very carefully that the chairman of Rajya Sabha cannot preside over a joint sitting. Chairman of Rajya Sabha is none other than the Vice President of India. And the chairman, that is the Vice President of India, is not a member of Parliament. He is not a member of Parliament. He is neither member of Lok Sabha, he is neither member of Rajya Sabha. So in a joint sitting can be presided by Speaker of the Lok Sabha, in his absence Deputy Speaker of the Lok Sabha, in the absence of both Deputy Chairman of Rajya Sabha. Even if the Deputy Chairman of Rajya Sabha is also absent, any member chosen by the two houses collectively can preside over the joint sitting. So then, what type of amendments can be proposed? What type of amendments can be proposed at the time of joint sitting is one more dimension of this topic. See, those amendments which were responsible for deadlock with respect to that ordinary bill can be considered in a joint sitting. So if Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha have disagreed for certain amendments which were responsible for the deadlock between Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, such amendments can be considered and passed. And those amendments which were necessary because of the delay in the passing of the bill, those amendments which are necessary because of the delay in the passage of the bill can also be taken up at the time of joint sitting. All the amendments other than these two categories cannot be entertained at the time of joint sitting. Then in addition to this, so far joint sitting was held 3 times. The first one is with respect to dowry prohibition bill. So with respect to dowry prohibition bill, there were disagreements between Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha with respect to certain amendments. In 1961, this bill was taken up in the parliament known by the name Dowry Prohibition Bill. So here, with respect to what type of changes are needed in this bill, there were disagreements between Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, and this was finally resolved through joint sitting. Then subsequently in 1978, Banking Services Commission repeal bill. Banking Services Commission repeal bill. So this was one more instance where there was joint sitting. A joint sitting was held for the second time with respect to Banking Service Commission repeal bill. And the last one, it is terrorism bill. Terrorism bill 2002. So even with respect to terrorism bill, prevention of terrorism bill of 2002, there were disagreements between Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, and the matter was decided through a joint sitting. So there were three instances of joint sitting. One is with respect to dowry prohibition bill, second one is with respect to Banking Service Commission repeal bill, third one is with respect to prevention of terrorism bill. And only one MP who had the privilege of attending all the three joint sittings is Atal Bihari Vajpayee. Atal Bihari Vajpayee. Atal Bihari Vajpayee was the only parliamentarian who had the privilege of attending all the three joint sessions of the parliament which were held so far. Then in addition to this, we had one more category of joint sitting under Article 87. Under Article 87. So this also needs to be understood, Article 87. So soon after the general elections, when the parliament meets for the first time, the president presides over the joint sitting of the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. And in addition to this, every year, the first session of the parliament is presided by the president, addressing commonly both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. So this is under Article 87. Under Article 87, the president presides over the joint session of the parliament soon after the general elections and the first session every year. And in addition to this, under Article 118, the president can make rules for joint sitting by consulting the Speaker of Lok Sabha and also the Chairman of Rajya Sabha. Under Article 118, the President can make rules for conducting the joint session by consulting the Speaker of Lok Sabha and also the Deputy Chairman of Rajya Sabha. So that's it about joint sitting of the Indian Parliament. Thank you.